Let's start some coaching. Scratch my eye. There we are. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to another episode of Coaching the Many. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. So, first of all, yeah, I'm joined by Anna. It's a new emote on Twitch. Isn't it cute? Isn't it cute? Isn't it amazing? I'm so impressed. Jaru did such a good job. Like, I'm so happy with all the emotes. They look so good. They look so good, especially on my nice high-def monitor. Oh, they look pretty. But yeah. I'm so happy with those. But yeah, we're going to be talking about 76 and Genji in particular. Mostly 76. I'm going to talk a lot about abilities as well, at least at the start, because there's one or two like moments where it's just like I was watching this and I was just like, please, for the love of God, use your healing field. Use the healing field. For the love of God, use the healing field. It was kind of interesting. So we'll run with that one. And yeah, let's see how this one goes. There we are. Let's slide this up. Ooh, over there. Bye, Twitch chat. Thank you for playing. So the guy starts off the game, but like I'm going to point out the audio quality is not great, so it's mostly going to be pretty much muted because hey, oh, good timing as well. Hello.
Emote is my most used emote on both Discord.
I'm glad OMD gets a lot of use.
Being awesome.
I say that fully honestly. I'm so happy that OMD does see so much use. That will not be a changed emote.
I was going to do Zarya.
So yeah, the audio quality isn't amazing on this one, so it's going to be pretty quiet. And the guy started it nicely by just belching into the microphone, so I'm glad we skipped that one. Ugh. Just people these days. Otherwise, the first thing we should be doing is looking at our team comp. Team comp looks okay. The reason why I say that primarily is because we have a Mercy. That's current meta. Team comp gets a bit rougher when Doomfist gets introduced. It's not the end of the world, especially at this rank. Hero pick isn't like the most important thing. Say having a Mercy is very, very useful. Having the Moira is okay. Zarya doesn't really have too much to combo with aside from the Doomfist, and then you have the Orisa Soldier. So this is going to be a team comp that's going to be relatively stodgy. Like this is sort of why I say look at team comps, and when I sort of explained in the past about you know, like how certain team comps play, and like you look at your team and think, how's this going to actually play out? How does this team comp work? Now there's a couple of clashes, which is that the Zarya like. Zarya works better when you have stuff that's playing more aggressively and more forward. Like Orisa, Roadhog would work better, just off the bat. The Doomfist doesn't really fit, but the Doomfist does have synergy here at the very least. So you at least have these two working together. Like Moira Doomfist, for example, doesn't really synergy. Just like who's healing the Doomfist in this team comp? Well, no one. You need a Zenyatta or an Ana or something with long range healing to be able to pick the Doomfist up, or you need like a Lucio that you can just bounce back to and stand next to. So it's like. The Doomfist is a bit of an odd fit, but whatever. This is platinum, like gold platinum. You can get away with bending the rules slightly. Otherwise, like we're mostly going to be, especially because we're duoed with the Orisa, I expect that we're going to be playing a lot around the Orisa. Orisa's playstyle in general is a little bit immobile, so we sort of get into position, start firing off a couple of shots. Okay, first fight. Not opting to take the high ground, fair enough. You don't have to. Not the greatest barrier in the world. First thing I'll mention is when you're playing with an Orisa, like just okay. First things first, Orisa's barrier here is a bit terrible. It's you want to cover this. Like this area here is not covered. You want to cover this. Cover this area. The reason why is because well, where are the threats coming from? They're going to be coming around this corner, so you're not covering this corner if you put the barrier there. First things first is always keep an eye on halts. Follow halts. Always follow halts. Like, halts are very, very important. And the thing that I notice is, like, we aim away from the halt. So we sort of see it. We see it catches someone even, and then we just, like, pull our crosshair away from it. If it's catching someone, just keep on it. In general, with halt, you can use, especially in a fight like this one, you will expect it to hit something. So you just be ready to sort of follow up on the halt. Trust me, it works amazingly. Just that little bit of synergy. And then during all of this fight, I was just like... Use your healing field. Use your healing field. Where's the healing field? Especially when we take like this 100 damage from the scatter. So the scatter goes through, we drop down 100 hit points. This is where you just use your heal field. Like you're playing with the Orisa, you're playing with an Orisa on your team. You want it to be in this very, very, like you want to be playing in these condensed little areas. And there's no better way of doing that. Like Moira Orb comes in. A Moira Orb, when you're playing Soldier, is just free ultimate charge. Because you put down your biotic field, the Moira Orb doesn't do anything. You build up some ult charge, easy. And so it's just like, if we're playing from this static position and we're not using the healing field, something's going wrong here. And the thing with healing field is it's actually got a relatively low cooldown. It lasts about 4 seconds, I believe, healing 50 hit points per second. I might be wrong on that. It might be a little bit different, but the cooldown isn't huge when you consider like how long it lasts. It might be 30 hit points per second. I might be wrong on that. I'm sure someone in chat will correct me. It's pretty good. It's pretty good healing. So yeah, it vanishes after about 5 seconds. So 20 hit points per second, I guess. But you get the idea. It's really solid healing. Really, really solid for just putting yourself into place. No, 40 heals per second. Jesus, maths. Never do maths live on stream. It's always a bad idea. Always goes wrong. And now we're starting to use it, and now sort of, like, we're fighting into our favor, but it's sort of gone so slowly on the first part that it's starting to wear us down a little bit. They have Moira ult first, which is a problem. They start clearing us out. It's 58 points per second for 4 seconds. Yeah, that makes sense. So I was right the first time. See? Thank you, Mr. Numeric. Very generous. I know it heals for 200 total. That's sort of the big number I know. And it's like... in this first fight on Ilios on this map, like, you want to get a kill or two, especially if you are playing like this relatively tanky style. And just providing that little bit of extra healing could make a big difference. Like, it makes a difference to, like, the Doomfist who's retreating. If he retreats back onto a healing field, it's great. And it's sort of getting this extra utility out of our kit that is so valuable. Stuff like using the Orisa hull and combining it by using our rocket with it is super, super powerful. There's just a lot you can get out of that. And the weird part is, to me, like, if you want to break down how Soldier operates and what makes Soldier good, part of what makes Soldier really good is that healing ability, is that ability to just shore up the heals and just sort of provide backup to your team. It makes you much harder to dive, much harder to kill, and will just provide people with a lot of extra strength. Now, I like the fact that this guy, he's wearing, I think this is the Philadelphia Fusion skins. So he's sort of, yeah, this is the Fusion skin, so he has embraced the weeb. I know absolutely nothing, and you could tell Naruto 76 Defense the Hidden Greek Village. I know nothing about Naruto aside from it's about really sort of not ninja-y ninjas, and people have funny eyes, and that's all. And it has a lot of filler, apparently. That's all I kind of know about Naruto. So yeah. Okay, so we managed to take the point. We got a good 35%. It's okay. What I would say in this instance is honestly... yeah, we could just dash back. Actually, team's surviving long enough. What I would normally expect at this instance, like, this is just a bad job by the enemy team. The enemy team should be finishing this up. They should be cleaning this up faster, but welcome to lower ranks. They have a Hanzo. It's no surprise that they're not finishing stuff up quickly, because, hey, it's Hanzo. Don't expect him to hit a shot ever. So, yeah, we actually can come back. We could have done a bit more damage to the back of that. We end up going down. Feels bad, man. And don't be afraid to just be a little bit more patient. We do get some good damage. Where does the rocket go? When do we use the rocket? Sprinting, sprinting, sprinting. Come off. We just whiff the rocket. Okay. Just don't lead the shot. Not too much to comment on that aside from lead the shot. Fusion 76 looks like old Naruto. Yeah. I've heard people say similar. The fact that your team is still in this is huge. So the other thing I was going to say is, like, if you have lost this, don't be afraid to just sort of get onto the high ground. But the fact that their team is having so much issue cleaning... I don't understand how their team hasn't won and taken the point. Hello? Like, breaking my brain here. In the normal eventuality where you lose a fight and you lose all your DPS and then they start killing everyone, yeah, you come back up here and you can sort of fight from up here. One thing I'll also say, just as like credit to the team in future, it sounds like we have like a constantly open microphone, so we're not using push to talk or anything, we just have sound activated, which means that every single time you press a button on your mouse, or not on your mouse, on your keyboard, especially hard, it's transmitting to the team. I guarantee that is driving people slowly insane. It drives me slowly insane, at least in my games. Because I don't want, like, you can hear it in the video if I turn it up. You'll be able to hear it nice and clear. Oh god, that's too loud.
I don't quit till the fight is done.
Oh no, wait, he might actually be using push to talk. He's just talking very quietly and we're just getting all the lovely keyboard sounds. It might just be that. But yeah, like doing this is fine, and like even if they're fighting on the point, like this is one of the most ideal situations to be in Soldier 76, which is people are fighting, like people are so busy and occupied fighting on the point that you can just stay on the high ground and just get a couple of quick clean kills. So just take your time, line up the shots on the Moira. Fine with breaking the barrier. And honestly, we're letting other people just do most of the grunt work here. Because we don't have to. And the big thing to realize at this point is that we should not be using too many more resources. Like, the fact that the Transcendence comes out there is actually huge. And so you would have been fine just backing off at this point. Yeah, you've seen most of your team die. They've just used Transcendence. That's one of the major support ults. They're running Zenyatta and Moira from what we've seen. And we haven't seen them change to a Mercy. That's the only big support. So yeah, like, I'm so glad that we pressed tab here. Just to double check that there hasn't been any support shenanigans and we haven't missed something. So yeah, they're running Moira Zen. What do they have to stop this Graviton Surge? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing is going to stop this Grav. You have to win one fight, you have Grav. It's there on a silver platter, you just have to take it. And this is where you just sort of taking that moment and just going, yeah, we just need to Grav and we'll win. And just taking that moment and saying to the team, hey, yeah, if we just Grav, then it works wonderfully. This is where this is where we need to not be peeking. So there's something that you should always try and keep in mind when you're looking at your team and enemy teams, is can you peek? Or who should be peeking? When they have a Hanzo, usually the peeking advantage goes to the enemy team. Because shit like that happens. Where Hanzo will just hit you with an arrow. Mercy gets greedy for a res, goes down. Like, Orisa should have been trying to protect that maybe, but yeah. That's gonna piss me off and I regret peeking. You're going to regret peeking a lot. It's good to have you here, by the way. You're going to regret peeking a lot when there is a Hanzo on the map. It's just going to be a pretty uniform thing. And you sort of just got to learn how to be patient, because the best thing you can do as soldier when you peek is, like, you can maybe land a rocket on someone. Hanzo will just take your head off. And he'll do it so irregularly that it's just frustrating. And of course, if they have a Widow, be very careful as well. Unless you have a Widow, unless she's safe. Bit of a shame this isn't a corpse. A little bit overeager dropping down, just let him go. Like, again, the focus, so basically one of the ways that I try and play is I kind of have a couple of different mental states of how I'm playing. You guys are in what I would call regroup mode. When you're in regroup mode, the priority is don't die. Do not die. So, like, Hanzo's here overextending. Punishing him's okay, a little bit risky, but fine. If you kill him, it's great. Makes it easy for your team. The second he gets to here, and you can see that there's a Roadhog down there, it's like, no. We get very lucky just by bouncing our way out. And managed to survive this, so, okay. And that's a little bit of a shame. This is sort of off the back of... I don't like the fact that we sort of stopped here. We should have probably just focused on getting into position. If, basically, we kind of did the worst decision here. So either we want to fight from this bridge, or we want to fight from over here. Like, to me, the objective of taking this pathway is to go and get over here. If we do want to fight up here, we want to be stood here. What we end up doing is we sort of run forward and jump, and end up right in the middle of the bridge. And so if you think about what the Roadhog's seeing, like, there's the high ground up here. Instead of the soldier being here, where he can just, like, juke, he is over here. And suddenly he's just a very easy target. Like, we just moved away from cover. It's just a minor thing, but it feels like we just sort of made a decision and committed to a poor decision. And it's like, oh, well, this is kind of what happens. This is the wages of indecision, I suppose. This is also the wages of them having just a good comp for keeping you guys pinned in. Like, you notice Orisa is just struggling to get out of the spawn again and again and again and again. Because Orisa's terrible at taking ground. Lap of coffee, lovely. Okay, I like the fact that the team just took a moment. It's really nice. Really good that the team just took a moment there. And just regrouped. Because that's all you need to do. The only thing you guys need is grab. The thing is, the time for it is probably past now. Like, they should have Transcendence again. If you can get on that Zen, that would be great. Zen. Good. Finish off the Moira. Nice. Easy. Easy as pie. And, like, nothing special happened during this team fight. And this is sort of one of the key things of Overwatch. And it's a weird rule, but you'd be surprised how, A, how well it works, and B, until what level it stops working. Which is, if you just group up and push together, you're probably going to win. it's really weird, and like people at low ranks, it's not that they struggle with this concept, because if you tell people this, they go, oh yeah, of course I group up all the time. But the thing that will happen is, as Nibelung says actually quite rightly in chat, so well done Nibelung, it's like you'll see people group up and then someone will just run off and get out of the group. Like during this time, you gotta remember, a soldier, we move a lot faster than everyone else, so if we sprint up here, we're technically going to appear in front of the enemy team before a lot of our teammates. So you always want to be a little bit careful about how and when you're positioning, because our team technically isn't visible to theirs yet. Luckily, like, their team is just focusing on the low ground, lets us get set up, and then Soldier 76 on high ground, presses Q, easy cleanup. But this push it isn't a special push. It isn't a special thing. That Zen is you? Really? We've got 2 coaches. Try coaching you Zen from the opposite team. But yeah. It's just... It's literally that simple of, hey, we pushed together, people occupied attention, we had space, we pressed Q, and we killed everyone. It's pretty cool. Zarya didn't even need the grav. Team has to spend ults, their trance gets back up, which is this is the wages of those like poor pushes where we just end up not having, well, they end up building up transcendence again. There's no excuse for them being able to do this. Like, you guys should have won this fight 2 or 3 fights ago. The enemy's then saying, looks like it's called JK all day. Just kidding, it's just about the same as RNI plays then, okay. Well no, EK all day. D.Va should have dived on us when we pressed Q. We could have just run. Like, if they don't have Transcendence, there's probably no way they can stop that. The thing is, if D.Va, like, runs at you and you're ulting a soldier, you can just usually run past her. You just sprint and jump past her and then shoot people. You can usually still kill 1 or 2 people. It might stop one person dying, but if you prioritize right and you know that the Zen is the thing that's going to stop you winning, you just kill the Zenyatta and you still won the fight. I think the Zarya is trying to stall grav. The Zarya is fine using the grav there. She's not going to not use it until the Zen's just getting trance off. But it's the fact that it's not the issue, like, there's no problem with the grav, there's no issue with the grav. It's the fact that that took so many fights. Okay, now we're on the next map. So Ilios Ruins works a little bit differently. The big thing you have to be careful of is, of course, if they have a Widowmaker or not. This is one thing I don't like about how we're playing this, which is we have the Orisa still. So we should be using the Orisa. Like, if you think about your positioning, there is nowhere safer for you on the map than behind the Orisa barrier. And so this flank here, especially if they've been playing like a Hanzo, this flank here could go very, very badly, whereas you could just be, and this is why I like reliable, excuse me, this is where I like reliable heroes, because you can just stand behind the Orisa barrier and do a shit ton of damage. Like, you wouldn't have died, and part of this is the Orisa's fault as well. We just talk about standard positioning. Let's just get to a good position where we can see the angle. But if the Orisa position's right, then this shouldn't happen. So the barrier shouldn't really be here. The barrier should actually be on, like, between these 2 pillars, so you have, like, the pillars, and then you have, like, a little elevated position. The Orisa sets up on top of that. It's a very, very strong position. This is where, if you watch sort of Overwatch League, and you watch where people set up, you'll often see people set up a lot in this area. Just because it gives you an overview on the point, it lets you contest and fight for the point, and then when you're ready to move down, you can just drop down after getting a couple of kills. Also, if you need to fall back, you have like 2 little very safe areas back here behind the pillars, and it's just a nice place to be. Like, your supports can stand on the low ground, you can stand up here, where we are now, and the Orisa should be shielding this position. It's technically, like, so it's a mixture of errors, where it's like, that's where the Orisa should be barriering, but we also just, like, overextend ourselves. So we swap off the Soldier, we go to the Genji to try and deal with the Widowmaker. Honestly, not even really a necessary change. And you might think, well, you know, who's going to deal with the Widow? The fact that you're playing an Orisa comp means that you probably would never have to deal with the Widow if everyone just sort of, especially when you're running the McCree instead of the Doomfist, it's just like, yeah, everyone just stands behind the Orisa barrier. What's Widow going to do? What's she really going to do here? She is Diamond, so she is probably a little bit better than most of the other players in this game. So it is a little bit intimidating, but yeah. Like a Soldier, you can just nail their tanks all day, because their tanks don't have any barriers, and you just shoot them, build up ults, kill them. But we're going to, again, run into this issue, and sort of the primary weakness of Orisa's, which is that she needs to be dropping her barriers and she needs to be playing aggressively, and this should just not happen. Where Orisa just gets headshot while moving through a choke. It's like, where was your barrier, love? You need to get it out there. Because now this is a big problem. Because now your team doesn't have a barrier and you're pushing into a Widowmaker. The thing that I'll say about the Genji at this point... Okay, first things first, we need healing. The best thing to do here would just be to go to spawn. And just instantly heal up in there. Like, when you go into spawn, you get healed for like 70 heals per second, and you're immortal while you're in there. I'm fine with us taking a flank. We should be reloading at this point. There we go, we reload. But notice how slow this is going to be. When spawn was literally right there. So remember, you can heal in spawn. Do not be afraid to heal in spawn. Put out the Widowmaker. We whiff on our shots. So if she's just doing this, like, do not be afraid to line up properly. One of our shots was not a headshot, and Widowmaker is, like, very, very easy to headshot. I know it's blurry as hell, but you can see, like, the head hitbox is very, very pronounced on Widow. I think 2 shurikens headshot and 1 doesn't. If you hit all 3 with headshots, it just takes a dash to finish her off. It's an interesting choice to try and melee the Venom Mine. Then we all just end up flubbing this. Oh god, that hurts. That hurts to watch. Just lead you around in a circle and just smacks you on the head. Spoiler alert. The best thing to do in this situation, by the way, so the way that Widow versus Genji works is, because I play a lot of FFA and play a lot of Widowmaker in FFA, and the way that the maths work for Widow, first things first, getting hit by a Venom Mine. Venom Mine does 75 damage. Okay? A body shot will do 120 damage. So those of you who are doing some quick maths will realize that this comes up to 195 damage. The Widowmaker just technically needs to do 5 damage and land a body shot. Now, in this situation where she's running around, she won't do the full body shot, so it's very unlikely for her to get sort of that 120, but she could still land a couple of shots into you. This is scary though. The fact that the Venom Mine does that much damage will actually put you in a really, really sort of scary position. So the big thing to do when this happens, when you get the Venom Mine, is if you aren't killing her quickly, you can just get away with it by just like eating up her time, denying the health pack, and then just continuing to fight her. Because all that time that she's fighting you, she's not sniping at people. You're technically doing your job. We should have been able to kill her with sort of the free shots that we got on her, the free shurikens, but it's just sort of a little bit of impatience. That was good though. Just right click into dash. Sort of the best way to kill Tracers. Just hurl some shurikens at her. Nice. It's just putting pressure on her, like, because now that you're doing this, she can't snipe anymore. Your team can just fight on forward. If she's trying to SMG you and you have a Mercy healing you, you're laughing. Dragon Blade seems unnecessary. Is what I'm going to say here. Your team's already sort of pushing through. Like, the fact that your team is pushing this far through means that your team's already kind of winning the fight. You kill one, you don't need to use the Dragon Blade at this point. Now well, technically you killed 2 because you got the Tracer earlier on, so it's like both, well, 2 of their DPS are dead. You should just be able to cut through this. Tracer respawns, gets a pulse bomb on 2, it doesn't really matter here. That's rough, but happens. That one Tracer kills everyone. People wonder why I want to get good at Tracer. That's the answer why. SMG does decent damage. SMG does okay damage, but it won't out-heal Mercy. Won't out-DPS Mercy healing. Especially not in, like, meaningful time. So this is where it gets rough for your team, because the Orisa died, and the Orisa is integral to you guys surviving the Widow. But doesn't come through, and defeat comes in. That was quick. It was a 10-minute game. Like, the biggest issue, so, like, let's go back and, like, let's just highlight some big issues. So the first things first is, like, if we have this Orisa, Orisa is a big cue to you in terms of how you're going to be playing, how you're going to be positioning, right? Orisa is very, very good at locking down a single position and playing around that single position. So when you have that Orisa on your team, you are going to be using a lot of heal field. A lot of heal field. And heal field is really, really good when you want to do this kind of territory claim playstyle. And so it drove me crazy watching this. And it's like, in the first 5 seconds of watching this, I was just like, okay. You know, HK's holding on to it for now. Doopa-doopa-doo. Okay, now surely he's going to drop it. Surely now. Surely now. Surely now. Surely now. Surely now. Surely. And it's like, that's a good chunk of healing that is not going to the team at this point. And it just seems like a real shame to me, because honestly, you guys would have probably been in a much stronger situation. This Doomfist would have had more hit points, stuff like that. You get very, very lucky in that they run a Hanzo, because it means that you take the point, which is fine. Though I will say, I will rate winning the fight is more important than taking the point. Sounds like a weird thing to say. Although, well, actually with this team comp, taking the point is probably more important, but you could have just won the fight and sort of going from there. Notice how low DPS Moira ult is, especially when we're still on the heal field. She hits, like, the heal field's run out and she's still hitting us. It still takes a good couple of seconds to finish us off. Moira ult, not very good offensively. Important. Important knowledge. And then from there, it's just like impatience more than anything is just costing us. Impatience with a little bit of sort of aiming difficulty. One thing I want to point out is, like, in the email, it was kind of interesting to read. So I've been using a lot of aim hero recently, but I fear I've been neglecting my game sense when matches turn out like they did here. I'm not sure if I took effective positioning on the Lighthouse map. I feel as if I did not put enough pressure on the Roadhog and protect the Genji counter, and Widowmaker's round 2 was counterproductive as no other teammate could duel her. Widow's effectiveness was minuscule in comparison to the Tracer and Roadhog. I struggle to consistently play Genji as well as I need a refresher on how to use him effectively against Widow and with Dragonblade. So it's like, the positioning, I'd say, was overall okay. Like, I would have just gone for high ground myself at this position. But with the Mercy in tow, it's sort of, you could debate that going low ground is fine. The one thing I would say is don't run like this into the open. Just run straight towards the edge, because you are playing technically for a stall at this point. Like, in my mind, this fight is lost. This fight is completely lost in my mind at this point, which is why I say you should be thankful they have a Hanzo, because I think if they didn't have a Hanzo and had something better, like a Soldier or a McCree or a Genji or something, they would have probably cleaned this up a lot quicker. So I would have been going for high ground just to get position, just to build up a little bit more ult charge, and then just to, like, you could kill this guy, you could bully the Roadhog as he comes in. No one did the Orisa counter, which, by the looks of things, like, the fact that the Orisa is alive is just a goddamn joke. Because Orisa is not hard to kill when she's cornered like this. Spoiler alert, the Orisa counter is you just walk through the barrier and you kill her. But yeah. Because, like, you end up in this positioning and it's fine. You see how strong this is. Like, killing that Zenyatta is enough to sort of start swinging it. And I'm fine with us just backing away from the Roadhog. It just wastes Roadhog's time a little bit. You can't just hook us and kill us. Good rocket. It's a good enough rocket, like, right idea. Just try and put damage onto the support. Killing Moira when she ults is a little bit fiddly. But she ulted after the rocket, so it's fine. And then, like, that signal, that there is where you guys, in my mind, this is when you won the map, and it's just like, we end up in this sort of, this comedy situation now where people just keep on running a little bit too far ahead and dying, and this is, like, it's weird because when you watch it back, it's so obvious. It feels so obvious when you watch it back, and it's just like, why am I positioning like this? Why am I sort of running ahead like this? It's like, why was Zarya sort of around there? You know, it's like, you've got this good core of the team, where we have 4 people. Zarya's pretty much with us. Zarya should just join up with us, and then we could just sort of do this push. Like, the other person is a Doomfist, right? Like, he can join up with us in no time at all. But then suddenly people start just peeling off and going all over the place. And so, like, the push just stops being a push and just starts being like this weird poke battle, but they have Hanzo, so they just get a pick. That's sort of how it works. I like the fact that we anchored Mercy. People dying, people dying, people dying. We get a kill, but, like, this is not go time. Push the Hanzo back. Almost overextend and almost die. Okay, now we just want to play it safe. Just like play it safe, keep an eye out if the Hanzo's sort of going for a cheeky hook, a cheeky peek, cheeky shot. This is where we should have just run on through. Just don't risk it. Either that, you just stay by the wall and just duke the, you just dodge. So if you buy a wall, it's easier to dodge hooks because hook 2.0. Where if he hooks you and you're just moving back behind the wall, it'll break. So it's fine. And yeah. And then, like, at this point, it's like, okay, we pretty much won this fight. Like, this fight should have happened ages ago. Like, you get to high ground, you press Q, you win. Like, the Zarya almost gets it. Oh, Jesus, that's so close. That is so goddamn close. So someone said the Zarya, like, someone was saying earlier, the Zarya did stall. Zarya almost succeeded. It's this soldier that actually saves it for them. Hey! That's the host noise. So it's a good old one-person host as well. Nice. Let's see. And then with like the Genji on the second map, again, it's just like it's this sort of over-peaking or not respecting the enemy team quite enough. And so yeah, like we just need to play around the tanks more. Like when playing Soldier 76, you can do one of two things. Just like general rule of thumb. Just to sort of finish up on Soldier. So let's take Hollywood. Hollywood is a good example of this, because Hollywood is pretty standardized in most people's mind. So the way I want to draw Hollywood is like this. Okay, this doesn't look like Hollywood. But it's sort of how I think of Hollywood when I'm playing Soldier, which is, like, the point is technically like here. And then you usually have, like, the Reinhardt, like, or your main tank, which is usually an Orisa these days, like here. So let's just draw Orisa. A horse. Right, so this is Orisa, and then you have like the barrier here, right? This is not to scale. And a soldier, you can do one of two things. You can either like stand here with the Orisa, still not to scale, or you can stand up here on the cafe, and you can shoot down. And so either way, you are just, like, you're either playing behind the barrier, or you're playing so far back on high ground where it's so difficult for them to reach you. What we ended up doing in this game was, rather than standing in either of those places, we end up standing sort of here. And standing there is never going to work out. It's like a walking bomb from Mario. There we go. No. It's close. It's good enough, okay? It's good enough. And so it's just a matter of, like, understanding that a soldier can just stand with tanks. And just hang around tanks and shoot stuff. It's a really, really effective thing to do. He's good at most ranges, and it's okay. In this instance, it's like, yeah, we're doing okay. Like, we're not poking, we're not sort of peeking overly much. You could afford maybe a peek here because you have the deflect, but you'd have to do it, like, the way that you would do it. The Orisa should not die there, ever. Bad. Sad bad, Frown Town. Right. Now, the way you would peek here is, so you could either go around this way and just like try and get up here, or you could just go straight up here, but you would just go up and then just deflect and just sort of get a lay of the land and look at where people are. Like, if you don't spot the Widow, if you deflect and you don't see Widows there, then maybe you can start moving forward, but if you deflect and Widow's there, you just sort of back off and try and find the low ground route that we end up taking. Again, go to spawn for this. Bit of wasting time. Don't be afraid to be patient here and just line up the shot perfectly. Close, but it's not quite there. Because if you line up the shot perfectly, you just need a dash. Deny health packs in long fights. Grav and Trance, but they layer the support ults, which is okay. Your team commits to this by using Valkyrie. We nail the Tracer. Pressure the Widow out. Like, honestly, this is fine. And then this Dragon Blade is just sort of wasteful at this point, because they've lost 2 of their DPS, we don't need to blade this. Dragon Blade is what wins you fights, so it's sort of, it's a waste to use Dragon Blade to win harder, if that makes sense. The Tracer gets either lucky or just is skilled enough to get a double bomb. We almost kill her, and then, yeah. No one can touch. Why can no one touch this? There are people there. People just lost track of the time, I guess. Spoiler, it's all... So, actually, general rule of thumb. General rule of thumb. Yeah, that Tracer just got 4, yeah. XQC got suspended. Oh, shit. That's news. That's drama. No, suspended is different. I imagine this is an Overwatch League suspension. Yeah, just general rule of thumb, because I see this happen so often in games. Is it time to ask questions in a second? I see this happen so often in games, which is where people are like, oh man, I was stood on the point. It's always a little bit earlier than you think. Once you've internalized that it's earlier than you expect, that's when it all goes well. He was benched for today by the team. Just for today? Interesting. You see, I've been watching Awesome Games Done Quick. Let's just not try and do that. Yeah, I'm going to go to here. So I'm going to actually look at the XQC news. I want to see Twitter. Show me the news. Show me what you got. Dallas Fuel Tank player Felix XQC Lengel has been suspended for tonight's Overwatch League game with the London Spitfire following the remarks he made on his personal stream last night. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, it's just one day. It is, like... It's so bizarre to me that he's in such a strong position. He is in such a strong position in the media and, like, in his presence. And he just can't stop himself. He just can't stop himself. What remarks did he make? He told Moomer to go suck a cock. To go suck a big cock, I believe it was. And then he added in, you'd probably enjoy that. Now, for those of you who don't know, Moomer is like the only openly gay player in Overwatch League. As you can imagine, this does not reflect well on XQC. I like Moomer's tweet today. Well, they both, like, XQC apologized, Moomer said it's alright, like, whatever. Oops, close that. That, click that. That. Okay. But it's stupid. It's just a dumb position to be in. That's a dumb thing to say. It is. The thing is, it reminds me, and I mentioned this earlier when I was talking with Sty not too long ago. Back in the LCS, I believe that teams, especially like TSM, had problems with this. CLG, I think, also had problems with this, where players would just, like, they walk off the match and then go to social media. And they would just instantaneously go on social media, and they need to have like just time to cool off and time to relax away from everything, and just decompress, and then you let them go on social media. But yeah, it's silly. It is very, very silly. Okay, hero gallery. Let's go to Soldier. I think this is the account I have the Spitfire Soldier on. Oh, isn't he sexy? Let's have him dancing. Nice. Okay. If you have questions, then ask questions. It's public apology. The issue I have with the public apology is it's like this is the third time now, I think. Let's see. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. When playing as Genji, it seemed like he didn't use his double jump on wall ride. When playing as Genji, he seemed to only be playing Genji for about 60 seconds. So, yeah. Relate you to being homophobic, yeah. It's stupid. That was fast coaching. It was a fast game. We could maybe even do another one. Like, we'll speed run another one in a minute. Is it a good idea to deliberately take damage from Moira's orb so it doesn't have enough damage left to kill someone? It's an interesting idea. Not actually one I ever really considered. I would say no, not for those reasons. So if you're not aware, Moira's orbs have a damage limit. So the idea is, like, if the Moira orb's coming in and you just drain, like, some of it onto you, who, you know, if you're on 200 hit points, it comes in, you eat 75 damage, it's not going to fly off and kill someone. The thing that I would say to that is, Moira's orbs don't usually kill people who are on full health anyway. Moira's orbs are usually there just to put a little bit of extra DPS on someone. but it's not the lump sum of damage that kills people usually. It's usually the fact that it's just a consistent tick, 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 tick of damage. And then if someone's already low, it will finish them off, or it will put them down lower so that someone else can come in and burst them down and finish them off. So I'd say no. The one thought that does occur with that, and this is sort of something that is kind of an interesting dynamic, is if you are playing someone like Soldier, and Moira fires an orb at you, and you just put the heal field down and just heal through it, you're getting ult charge, Moira's getting ult charge. But which of you has the better ultimate, right? Soldier has the better ultimate. Tactical Visor is worth a lot more than Coalescence is. So it's like you're getting the better end of that deal, basically. And that's what you're looking to try and do. In general, I'd say don't go looking for it. But when the Moira Orb just goes through, just put down the healing field with your team, and the Moira Orb is just instantly nullified. You get a shitload of ultimate charge because you're healing people, and then you can just go on shooting people. It's just like, because charging Moira isn't like charging Mercy. It isn't like charging Zenyatta. Charging Moira, you can just get away with it. Don't worry too much about it. I've been struggling to play more DPS as a tank main, and I'm struggling how to use Soldier's ult best. I want to flank and get the healers, but should I stay with the tanks to put pressure on from the front, and maybe not get a single kill? So when you have that ultimate, it depends on the map and what you're going to do, and also like how you're going to be approaching it. In general, if you have ultimate, flanking is okay. So basically you should be playing around your tanks a lot, but then you should be looking also for high ground opportunities. And when you'll see like Soldiers very successfully take high ground on maps like Gibraltar, or on Ilios, on the lighthouse, for example, where you can get onto that high ground area and just stay out there and just shoot people. There are some specific instances of high ground areas where you will be very, very strong. The main idea is you want to have an angle, especially on their Mercy. So if you can do that from the front, then great. But otherwise, like, do not put yourself in a situation where like your viewpoint is like there's enemies just sort of layered in front of you, and you want to shoot this guy at the back, but this guy at the front is blocking all the shots. So don't be afraid to sort of go on a high flank. And the advantage that TacVisor gives you as well is that if you are on a flank, so let's say you are playing on Gibraltar, and your team, like, so Gibraltar is shaped like this, right? Gibraltar third is like, this is the payload pathway, and then you sort of have the end point here. You have like this high ground area up here that Soldier 76 is always very effective on. Okay, and there's like there's like the pathways here and stuff like that. It's here, door here, so on, so on, so on. There's like a bridge here. You got the idea. If you can get onto this space, it's okay to be this far away because you have an angle over the tanks, over the bodies, and you can usually, like, if the supports are like back here, you can usually still hit them. Because accuracy doesn't matter at that point. It's just a matter of holding down left mouse button and shooting people. So that's sort of where it gets okay. The other example on Gibraltar would be on the shuttle phase. So if I just draw the shuttle quickly, I got the wings like this. Okay, so this is the shuttle. This is where it finishes. You have like this little high ground pathway up here towards the hangar door. And then you have like the bridge on this side. And it's like a wall here and whatever. And so if you can like get up here, the best thing to do, like what you don't want to do is try and get up here and then say, just stand right on the edge. What you want to do is if you get up here and everyone's still fighting like over in this area, that's great because there's a distance. But otherwise you can sort of stay far back and just stay towards the back and then come out the front here. Because the danger of doing stuff like this is like a roadhog just hooks you on your way there. So you want to just get there as safely as possible, appear, and then do a ton of damage while your team is pushing in. And the idea is that you will kill both supports before they can react to you. In general, flanking with Visor is fine. Like, the instances where you can just use it from the front is when stuff like a Reinhardt barrier is shattered. So if you see here a Reinhardt barrier, if you have Visor and they have Reinhardt Diva in some weird meta shift, wait until the barrier is shattered, wait till Diva is demeched, then you can do it. And then you just try and get an angle where you're just looking for the supports. The hard part, the thing that you've got to understand with Visor as well is that when you activate it, the enemy team will scatter or just turtle. So they'll stay behind barriers. Like, everyone on the enemy team should react to trying to avoid you, especially if you are behind tanks and you're sort of safe. The first reaction people should have is to try and shoot you, and then they'll try and hide from you because they know that you're just going to out-DPS them. So it's a matter of just taking that moment of initiative and finding a way to sort of get to the targets you need to get to. Why is Soldier 76 daddy? Because he was the old man of the league. He was the old man of the Overwatch organization since its inception, and Reaper's the bad dad. So Soldier's good dad, and he looks after people, and he says, "Come over here if you want to heal up." So he's actually, you know, he's got a soft heart to him. That's why he's daddy. So 76, keep the high ground or use the shield. Depends, again. So enemy team comp is going to cause variance on this. In general, like, taking high ground is a pretty strong idea as long as the team is still pushing in front of you. And again, that's sort of more map-oriented. Gibraltar is a good example. Dorado, second point, is a very good example, where you can just get onto the high ground areas and sort of shoot from there. On a map like King's Row, for example, you're going to be mostly playing with your tanks. Except maybe if you're on defense, then you can play from sort of the back corner, and you can play from the high ground there, and just make yourself very, very difficult to dive. That works very well if they're running stuff like dive. If they're running like a Widowmaker, stay with your tanks, because you're just going to be a sitting target. Like, so it's just a matter of sort of realizing, okay, if they're playing dive, you want to be in positions that are further back, higher up, and awkward to get to. That works great. If they're playing more of a pick style, then you want to just be careful about moving away from your tanks. And so it's just reading like, okay, I have a Widowmaker, so I'm not going to leave the tanks. Soldier 76 is worst enemy. Soldier 76 is a unique hero, in that he is designed to fit into pretty much every single team comp. He's designed to be sort of good in no matter what you sort of put him into. I'd say his worst enemy is probably something like a Roadhog, to be honest. Like Roadhog or Diva. More Roadhog. Something with high burst that it'll take a while for him to kill 15 bloody months off colored. You nutter. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for continuing work on Scrim Central. That's coming back in, well, soon. I'll say soon for now. I don't know how out in the open we are about the dates, so soon, Scrim Central. Should be good. I don't think XGC has any intention of changing behavior. He needs to, or he's going to lose his Overwatch League career, and he'll just be a streamer. Do people really believe XGC is homophobic? No, I just think he's an idiot. I often do that if I'm tanking with the Moira's orbs. Comment from ISX coaching, use 76 heal field to heal yourself and team to get ult charge. Yeah, that's sort of what I was saying at the start, that if you're playing as a unit, then you put it... Like, the thing with Soldier 76 heal field is this. You use it if you know you're going to be in a location for anything longer than like 3 or 4 seconds, and people are shooting at you. So if you move into a position with a team, and the team sets up, and you just put down the heal field where people are going to be fighting, that means your team can just stay there that little bit longer and fight that little bit longer. So let's just imagine a situation where your team has Soldier 76, their team doesn't. You run in, you put down heal field, their team runs in, their team doesn't have a heal field. One team has 200 hit points on every single hero extra because they're all getting healed by this heal field. That's a huge amount of strength. That's like putting a mercy heal on everyone just while they're all there. It's really good. It's really, 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 really good. And so, A, it charges your ult, but B, it's just good sustainability for your team. So if you are in a location where you are just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, then just put the heal field there. And it's a good signal to your team to just fight from this spot as well, because that's where you want them to fight. And you'll see me do this quite a lot, where it's like you're pushing around a choke, or you're pushing through a choke, and you'll just sort of, you'll make the first push through, and then you'll just put a heal field down, so that people moving through it are going to be healed. It just makes it that little bit easier. So example is Temple of Anubis, point A. So this is like the main entrance. You have like the 2 pathways. You have one going up here to the large health pack, and you have the one going up here towards the upstairs. Going through this choke point's annoying, but when you get through to here, you can put a heal field down. You can put a heal field down in the small room that's here, or you can wait till you get up the stairs, put the heal field down up there. Like, it's powerful either way, and it's just a good way to say, okay, let's just re-heal. Okay, we're good to go. And then when you start getting to those longer fights, you just put the heal field down where you're fighting. Easy. How greedy can I get with Dragonblade and Visor? Depends on how good you are with them. Depends what your objective is in that team fight as well. If you... So you're going to have to weigh in a lot on how aggressive you're going to be. The thing that I will say is that Dragonblade probably hits its peak strength at around mid-masters, and then from mid-masters onwards it will get weaker. Because people will just turn around and kill you. So to me, the key is sort of seeing, okay, what ultimates are available on the enemy team? What is my objective with this Dragonblade? Am I going to just try and win the fight and just kill people? Do they have Valkyrie? Do they have Transcendence? If the answer is they have Valkyrie, you've got to just prioritize the Mercy. It's not a matter of being greedy, it's just a matter of clever priority. If they have Transcendence, then you're either going to try and explode the Zenyatta, or you're just trying to push Zenyatta to use Trans. Once then you use trance, you can then just go on and try and find people outside of the trance, but odds of that are pretty slim. So you're trading Dragon Blade for trance, which is okay. Not ideal, and if you can force the trance the other way, another way, then that's fine, but otherwise, yeah, okay. The big thing is just like keeping in mind where their tanks are positioned, what tanks they have. Do you have like the moment you have deflect gone and you don't have and like you're not sure if you're going to be able to get another dash off or like get a kill and get the dash reset, then that's when you're going to have to start being more careful, more cautious. The big thing I'll say is just make sure that you can get to the targets you want to get to with the Dragon Blade before you use it, because there's nothing more pathetic than watching a Genji use his entire Dragon Blade to kill a Roadhog. And that happens more because a Genji has decided to Dragon Blade, and then he's just gone, shit, I can't actually reach the targets I need to reach, so I'm just going to hit the tanks. That's no use, that's not good. So it's just a matter of waiting for that moment and then going in. And finding like a good angle, make sure you're in position. Don't, for the love of God, unless you have an Ana, don't do this, where you dash into the air, draw the Dragon Blade, and then come down. It looks cool, but the reason why Genjis do this is because it means that Ana has a clean line of sight to the Genji to put a nano boost on him. When you do this, when you don't have that, what ends up happening is you jump up here, and you've used your dash, you draw a Dragon Blade, and everyone goes, oh, there's Genji. There he is, and they all start shooting at you. And then you dash down, and you've already lost like 50 hit points, you dash to the floor, and then everyone still shoots at you. It's too obvious. It's better just to sort of dash, draw, dash, and sort of, well, dash, draw, slash, dash. And get out and actually use the dash offensively, or just sort of come in from a side angle, dash through, draw, kill. Because when you're doing it like this, it's like, oh, well, there's Genji. Let's just all shoot at him. Yeah, people discussing what is the definition of homophobia and what is homophobic or not. Just no. You stop it. I can educate you on that after. Any Genji tricks worth learning, just being proactive with melees. The best way to kill a lot of stuff is just to, yeah, mouse to melee dash. Pretty simple. Otherwise, like, they've taken out most of the Genji tricks. Like, I've never been a big advocate, and I'd say you want to look to more specialized people than me for like, oh yeah, use this cool Genji tech to get the most out of your shurikens and stuff. To me, it's more about, like, if you understand the theory, and understand positioning, and understand how to hit your shots well enough, those tricks will make you more efficient and more effective, but they won't make a huge difference. They'll sort of just give you a small advantage. And I'm more about the sort of more general stuff. Because there's always going to be people learning tricks and stuff that I... Like the Soul Gem 6 trick that someone mentioned yesterday, which is that you rocket at point blank and melee at the same time to kill traces instantly. Like, that's a really cute one. And so stuff like that I'm not 100% on, but hey. Any predictions for the Seoul versus Boston map? Really? The funniest thing to me was watching Watchpoint, the sort of the preview show that they did. And seeing like Mr. X talk about, you know, Boston, you know, they've been training really hard and they look really focused and sort of coordinated and it looks good for them. So I think, you know, I think they're going to do better than most people expect, and I think they might have, you know, even a slight chance here. And you just saw Monty's face during all of it, and Monty's face, I'll try and do an impression of it, was just... And it's just like, in my mind, I just saw, you know, that image of, like, you know, people like use like Vietnam flashbacks and stuff, and I just saw Monty like having flashbacks to any time he was on the desk for the LCS. People going, you know what, I think TSM this time are going to be able to do it. I think they're going to make it into the finals of Worlds, and they might even have a chance of taking it. And Monty's just there going, no, 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 no. Seoul are going to take 4-0. 4-0. It will be, it will be surprising if Boston take a map. If Boston take a map, it's a huge victory. I will be ecstatic to be proved wrong. But I think it's going to be a 4-0. I don't think Seoul are going to clown quite as much as they did in the previous match, but we'll see. Iconwild attack, first point. When to go under the bridge, when to attack through a small room on the right, which was added. Is it worth to fly over the precipice on the right from the attacker spawn to get behind the enemy? Interesting question. Okay. It's so the thing with the choke point on the right. So let's draw Iconvolved schematic. Now, these schematics are meant to look a bit shitty, like not a high prior that they look amazing. So this is sort of the side door here. You have like the wall here, and then you have like the shop here, the computer shop. Okay, the tower is sort of like this. Doot, doot, doot. And then you have like wreckage and stuff over here, stairs over here. Doot, 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 doot. So you get the idea, right? Hopefully this is clear enough. What Iconvolved looks like. So when you're pushing through here, the first things first is you've got to push through here decisively. Especially in current meta where you will guaranteed almost. Okay, the yellow does not work here. Let's get the black. So the Orisa, like the enemy team should already be set up around here, probably. And there'll probably be like a Junkrat or something spamming. So one thing you can do is like you can have something sort of get up here. Hanzo can actually work on this map. I'm hesitant to say, but you can sort of take control of this bridge and start shooting down. You can use like Faras to start rocketing in through like this angle and stuff like that, or go all the way around. Going all the way around is what I'd say about going all the way around is it's useful if they are really, really hunting down the Farah, and you want like a surprising angle to go through because you're going to be shooting in behind their shields. And so that gives you a nice advantage. When you go in, it's got to be as a unit, and you've got to have like a tank just push through. So you're either waiting for a pick, or you're just going to go and push. You're going to use the 2 seconds of Diva Matrix to get you through the choke, and then the best thing to do is to sort of fold in, especially as DPS, what I try and do is I'll fold in either through here, or I'll fold in through here. I usually like going into the computer room because there's a health pack here, so any damage you've taken on your way in, you'll be able to just take that and put that to work. When you're using the side door, this is more for Genji and Tracer, less so for soldiers and stuff, just because, let's say they're running a Orisa Roadhog, it's too easy for the Roadhog just to sort of camp this area and keep an eye on it. Anytime you're going to push through here, you're basically pushing through a narrow choke, so anytime they see you coming from here, they're just instantly going to start spamming this doorway, and you're going to get shredded. Also, there's no health packs for you to get to nearby going through this way, so it's like, it's not a great route. This route is more for distractions, where you can sort of get in, and you'll stand sort of on this corner, and sort of just poke out and just shoot a little bit, and then you'll run away. And you'll come back through this way. So you're just trying to pull attention this way, and then you can just go for the main push. Most of your pushes are going to be going through the main choke. This is just like an extra option that they've added that will sometimes be useful if they, for example, overcommit, or if they just ignore it and you can get an option. Going all the way around the back, it takes a long time, and the payday is that, like, when you're coming over through main, as Farah, you have an okay angle, but people can usually see you coming, so people will usually like fold around the back and sort of take position this way. Whereas if you come, oh Jesus, I cleared it. But if you come all the way in from the back, people won't usually see it coming. You can usually get 1 or 2 good rockets in, and it will just pull, like, it will cause their team to sort of scramble and scatter. What I'll say is like try the front way once or twice, and then if that doesn't work, you say, okay guys, I'm gonna go all the way around the back, and I'll let you know when I'm there. Okay, I'm there, shooting, push. It's being decisive. Like, the worst thing that can happen is you get stuck in chokes. You don't want to get stuck in chokes. Is it better to run somewhere in the DPS role or as a quasi-support? Depends on your players. Both can work. And even in the Overwatch League, you're seeing mixtures on what people are doing and how they're doing it. Yeah, it just depends on your team. Depends on the map, depends on a number of things. In general, if you're playing on ladder, like, if you are intent on playing Sombra, you're making life very difficult for yourself because Sombra on ladder is super hard. Hey, thank you.
I've been loving the OWL videos.
Thank you. I'm going to be making another one tomorrow, I imagine. Got 2 videos to make tomorrow. Is that Just a Bit Gonzo, I think is his name? I don't have stream alerts up on my screen, and I can't. You can see the chat, so I haven't scrolled down. But thank you. I'll get your name right in a second. Don't worry when I scroll down. What's an important thing to keep in mind when playing Genji or Tracer? So a soldier. What I try and keep in mind when I'm playing soldier is that I am the backbone of my team's DPS. Like, to me, that is by far the most important concept that you have to understand as Soldier 76, is that you are the team's backbone. The team is built around you, it plays around you, it relies on you. So if you aren't putting out solid DPS consistently on stuff like tanks and barriers and things like that, your team's probably losing a lot of DPS. And this is where I could start to get angry when people overflank a Soldier 76, because it's like you're spending all your time running around, moving around the map, trying to get into positions and trying to like juke and jive and be super clever, super cunning. Oh yeah, I've got to get to this high ground position over here to try and do some damage, but I'm on my own and 3 people just dive me and kill me. Shit. Well, okay, I'm going to try and go around this sneaky round. It's just like, dude, just stand with the Orisa and shoot people, because you just want that damage. That's sort of what I try and keep in mind with the Soldier. With Genji, it's harder for me to say because I'm not as super confident in my Genji. I'm pretty confident on Soldier. I'm not on Genji. With Genji, the way I think of it at least is that I have to constantly kind of remind myself that in a one-on-one situation, I'm not actually that strong. Genji in duels will win them quite consistently, but it usually takes him a while to do so, especially if your aim is a bit wonky. So what ends up happening is you'll be fighting, you'll deflect, okay, you'll fight shuriken, 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 dash, dodge, 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 shuriken, 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 deflect, and it's like it takes you a good couple of seconds to kill someone. During that time, someone else will interfere, no doubt, so if someone on their team will peel back, start shooting you, start killing you, all that kind of stuff. And so to me, it's like, do not be afraid to disengage, do not be afraid to just poke and build up a Dragon Blade, and then the Dragon Blade is where the meat of the work comes in. Like, unless your name is Shadowburn, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be doing most of your effective damage with the Dragon Blade. And when I say effective damage, I mean the damage that will really change how team fights operate and how these picks are going to work. So either that or you're doing it as part of a dive unit. And if you're playing with a dive unit, then of course you should be going aggressive and just trying to splat people. And it's weird because to me there's kind of a hierarchy, which is when you're diving, the Winston is there to lead the dive and absorb pressure. Right, that's Winston's job. Let's draw Winston. There's Winston. Okay, so Winston's job is to sort of jump in, deal consistent damage, and wear people down. Your job as Genji is to get in there and do like a decent chunk of damage and sort of drop people low. So it will sort of follow in, and you'll probably be following the Winston actually. So let's draw these arrows right. Oh god, I deleted Winston's main. There we go. Oh god, he's got a big chin. So you'll be following the Winston usually, and your job is just to do like a decent amount of damage, right? And then Tracer's job is to come in and do like the lion's share of damage and just like chunk someone in a single clip, and then it's your job to dash through them and finish him off as Genji. And you should be getting that finishing blow. And so that's sort of how the dive will operate. But when you're just playing Genji as part of a more standard team comp that isn't playing super aggro dive, you're just more poking, and waiting for opportunities to go in and get those kills. Then you're getting Dragon Blade and killing everyone. And that's sort of how I sort of run it through my brain. Because the worst thing you can do is like try and jump into where the team is and try and fight them like a Tracer would, which is sort of a bit more direct. And a bit more sort of, like Tracer can go in onto the backline, one clip a Zenyatta and get out. Genji can do that, but it's much harder. Much harder to sort of get the shurikens and then just like dash through him and kill him and then get out. Like, that's so much rarer and so much more difficult to do. So Tracer wants to be that little bit more proactive, Genji wants to be a bit more pokey, and then turn it into a kill when a kill arises. So you're a bit more opportunistic. Also, like, if you don't have cooldowns, wait for cooldowns. How do I maximize your dash? Difficult. Again, like, I'm giving you credit, X-Ray Sun, so I'm not going to explain to you, oh yes, just make sure you're finishing targets off. Like, you know what you're doing. What I say is trying to hit as many people as possible with it, where possible. Just because you'll see this happen quite a lot in the Overwatch League, where if a team is bunched, there's a great example in one of the Fusion games, where it's on Dorado, and the team just all, like, bunches around this corner really stupidly. Shadowburn just comes in. So you know on Dorado point A, like the payload starts here and it goes like this around the corner. You have like the high ground here and you have this sort of tunnel here. And for some reason the team all ended up in like this tunnel, and Shadowburn just came here and just dashed through it. And then it's just like, yeah, you're just setting yourself up so that Genji just dashes through it, the rest of the team just does some damage, one person dies, Genji dashes back through it, kills, dash, 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 dash. Like, it's so easy. So trying to just hit as many people as possible, just to give yourself opportunities to get resets is one thing. But just make sure that you know where you're ending your dash as well. Like, don't dash and end in the middle of the team just for the sake of hitting most of the team. Or like dash and end in front of a Roadhog just for the sake of hitting the Roadhog with the dash. It's a balancing act, but it's like, if you can hit 2 people and still end up in a safe enough place, hit 2 people. rather than just trying to hit like the one target you're trying to kill. Just because if someone else comes in and like a McCree just headshots the target that you've dashed and he dies, it's like, hey, I've got my reset back and I can dash again, or I can use it to escape, or use it for options. Otherwise, yeah, like just try and make sure you. It sounds obvious, but try and make sure you are just hitting things with it as well. Like using dash to get around isn't that efficient in terms of just using your resources. And it's a good. It's like it's the 150 reliable damage you have. It is a hit scan tool. Because the way that Genji Dash works is the moment you press it, it sort of creates a block of damage, and then Genji moves through it. This is why I think it's not instantaneous at like the furthest reaches of it, but it is instantaneous for like the first half. This is why when you're playing in like Widow versus Genji, if this is Widow, and this is Genji, and Genji dashes at her, you can kill the Genji with a headshot like here and still die as Widow. Like the Genji's corpse will go flying past you and you'll still be dead, because the damage has already been done. So it's like your one reliable tool to finish targets off as well. So if you waste it just moving around, it can really screw you over. How greedy can you get with your ability jumping for damage and deflecting it? Pretty greedy. Just remember that once you've done that, you have to chill out. Like, Genji is reliant on his cooldowns to survive. It's pretty obvious. So if you have just used your deflect to try and like if all of their team is spamming into a choke and you just jump in front of it, deflect it all back and get a shitload of damage on someone, A, it's helping you poke, but B, it's building your Dragon Blade very quickly. But then you just got to realize that you can't do anything bold because you don't have deflect. Like, you rely on deflect for your safety. So it's just acknowledging that. How to play with an Orisa's DPS or the other tank. Just understand that Orisa can't move very well. Bless her. Like, she's a horse, but well, she's a weird centaur blob. Okay, that head is more accurate towards hitboxes, but yeah, she's like weird centaur blobby lady. But she's not very quick. Like, she's gonna put a barrier down, and that's where she's gonna be. The big thing I would say is just try it, and like if you're playing Roadhog, just like don't be afraid to just move behind the barrier, just like create some space for her, and then as she's moving forward, just keep moving forward with her so that she can create a beachhead, and so she can just lob the barrier forward. The further forward she can get it safely, the better. You want to be a little bit greedy, and then like you want to, as Roadhog, occupy that space, because the Orisa counter is you move through the barrier, but you can't move through the barrier if a Roadhog's just there to hook you. So it's sort of helping her create those openings. And then when you're playing DPS with Orisa, just understand that the Orisa barrier is going to protect you from a hell of a lot. It's like there are a few places safer to stand than with an Orisa. So it's like with Reinhardt, he'll be worn down and destroyed. With Orisa, you will just stay there, and then once the barrier drops, you can drop a healing field, you can just hide a little bit, let her body block for you. After that's done, barrier's back up, just keep shooting, and just keep occupying that space. Just understand that she's not going to like move around, so like whatever you do, for the love of God, your Orisa barriers looks like this. Don't like juke back and forth here. Like, don't be an idiot. Just stay behind the barrier. Because nothing will make the Orisa's eyes will roll so far back in her head she falls over if you just sort of go, oh yeah, look at me, and then Hanzo headshots you, and it's just like, what the fuck? Positioning tips for Genji. Try and be as in position as possible and for when a dive goes in, so just you want to be as far forward as you can safely be. Abuse verticality, because you are one of the most vertically mobile heroes in the game. So like abuse the shit out of that fact. You should generally be coming in from above people regardless, but there's so many places that you can get through that other people can't, that you really, really, really have to abuse that. Don't be afraid every so often just to, like, while your cooldowns are down. It is not a bad thing to spend the time with your team while cooldowns are recharging, just spamming shurikens into shit, and then you can find a better angle to sort of come from. Usually, again, it's high ground based, where you're just finding some sort of angle to get in from, just to poke from, just to be annoying and pull attention away from, stuff like that. But yeah, like stuff like Hanamura Point A, don't be afraid to abuse the roof of the building, stuff like that. It's pretty straightforward. How do you feel about predictive VOD reviewing for improving game sense? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by predictive VOD reviewing. I'm trying to guess what that is. Like, if you mean in the Overwatch, so what I try and do when I'm watching the Overwatch League is I'll try and... I'm assuming this is what you mean. When you're watching something like the Overwatch League, and you see like, oh, this person has Trance up, this person has Dragon Blade up, how are they going to manage this? Or like you look at the ults available to the teams, and you go, okay, how are they going to do this team fight? And then you try and predict how it goes. It's generally a good idea to try and start doing that and seeing how right or wrong you are. What I will say is it's not a bad thing necessarily to be wrong sometimes with that, where something will just happen. This is why I call Tracer the agent of chaos, because sometimes you'll make a prediction, and then Tracer will just come in and pulse bomb something, and just like, okay, well they have, you know, it's like, oh, Zen has Trance, or like Mercy has Valkyrie, and this team has so-and-so ultimate, so this team is just going to play defensively. When a couple of people go down, Valkyrie goes off, and this team is just going to look maybe to put some pressure on the Mercy and force out the Valkyrie nice and early. And then Tracer suddenly sticks and bombs Mercy, and Mercy dies. And you just go, okay, well now that's out the window, and they're just going to dive. So that's usually how that works. In general, my advice is just try and figure out like how... Like, you look at a team's ultimates, and you just go, okay, how is this team going to win? And what's going to happen? And like, you try and run through the scenarios in your head of like, well, if this guy ults first, and this guy, like the Zenyatta is just going to transit and stuff like that. That's sort of how you try and do it. So yeah. Am I getting like? Am I really at the top? Had people been talking this much where I've been pushed off? Really? Oh god. So I think I've missed some questions from that. Dismiss. Yep. I usually play with a duo. Supposing I want to play Soldier, which hero pairs best with him? Lots of heroes. Lots and lots of heroes, and it depends which way you want to go with that. Mercy pairs well with him, Ana pairs well with him, believe it or not, although I wouldn't play Ana at the moment. Yeah, you can pair him with most things. Like, Soldier doesn't need a specific pairing. What's a good ult combo with Soldier 76? So on Nano, name one. Most of them. Again, Soldier's just very variable. There's off-colored. Jesus. Burp, burp. Might be an odd question. How do you make wearing headphones with glasses comfortable? The real question should be, how do I make wearing a headphone with a beanie and glasses comfortable? The answer is it isn't. So yeah, it's coming off soon. Well, basically after every stream I just take off the thing. The reason why... It's time for, like, own beauty secrets. The reason why I wear the hat is because I can never be bothered. So basically, I'm balding, right? This is no secret. Ohm is bald. Basically, what I try and do is I try and keep this shaved down, but sometimes it just can't be asked, and so it grows out a little bit. I don't like the Picard hairline, is what I'll call it. I don't think it's particularly flattering. So I wear a beanie instead. And it's not really out of like, oh my god, I don't want to be ugly. It's more like, this just looks better. So it is a little bit, oh my god, I don't want to be ugly. With glasses and headphones, so you just get used to it eventually. Just make sure you buy headphones. Like, the ones I use are Sennheiser's. They have like very, very big cups. I like some big cups. A lot of padding. I don't really want to show you the inside because it's probably grody. Yeah, they have like very, very soft padding on them. And so the glasses just naturally sort of push the padding away. What's with Scrim Central? It went off for the... So we do seasons of Scrim Central, and because people are going to be busy over Christmas, everyone took a break from it. And we're going to be coming back soon, like a couple of weeks soon. There'll be an announcement very, very, very soon regarding that. I think there already might be announcements on the Scrim Central Discord, but yeah. Would you like some plat healing material to coach? If so, which healer would you want? Anything but Mercy is what I'd say. So yeah, what kind of coaching will be there? Will there be tomorrow? Don't know yet. What's a good accuracy and/or damage per minute? 10 minutes to push for. There's no upper limit. And like the thing that I will say is this, okay? The key is to contextualize your accuracy stats. So there is a difference between spending an entire game shooting at a triple tank comp with Soldier 76, coming out of it and you go, man, I had like 50% hit rate. Fucking, I'm amazing, I'm the best. And then you go into the next game, they're playing Genji Tracer, and you don't hit shit, and you have a 20% hit rate, and you go, man, why did I lose 30% accuracy? It's because of the heroes they played, dumbass. Like, accuracy stats are useful in context. And so you should just be trying to push it as high as you can, sure, but also remember that Overwatch is a game where you can just spam away. So stuff like, so you know those statistics screens that sort of come up after Overwatch League and have like, and like Jake's is always hilarious. It's like Jake comes up on Junkrat, it's like hit rate 8%. And it's because he just spams through choke points because he can, because this game doesn't have ammo. So, or like a limited ammo count. So he just shoots and shoots and shoots and shoots. It doesn't matter. In general, just the higher the better. And then just like find ways to maximize it. I can't give you definitive numbers of, hey, this is what matters. And I will resonate with Iostux's sentiment that focusing on accuracy is, as a coach, I cannot tell you how to get good at aiming aside from just playing more. And then just focusing on like, man, I just want to hit these shots. There is no other way to get better. Whether it's using free-for-alls, quick play, ranked, it doesn't matter. As long as you're playing against people and playing Overwatch, you will improve. Playing ranked is probably still the best way to do it, but free-for-alls are less stress. It's sort of how I try and do most of my improvement in free-for-alls, in terms of mechanics. Just because there's less stress and I can just sort of grind it out, no problem. And yeah, so it's just... I can't give you numbers for that. Silthred used an entire blade during an Oasis map trying to kill an Orisa and Hog. Only did half damage. Then he used his walk iron to escape fail. Just kind of stood there. Oh, okay, kill me, I deserve. Yeah, I'll be doing a video on those matches for Sty tomorrow. That's what I'm going to be working on most of tomorrow afternoon, I think. It's to do with the strat that they run. It's a really nice strat. I like the name for it as well, which is the Bongo Bunker. The Bongo Bunker is really, really cool. And we saw, first time I saw it was Houston using it, actually. So it was, well, I was kind of surprised to see that people still haven't realized this, but yeah, it was, like, there's a cool thing with that strat that we'll be talking about in depth tomorrow. But that video will go up, I don't know when. Genji also dashed together because they're harder to locate from the voice line. I would say, they fuck. It's like, oh, look, he's... The thing, okay, so when Genji's like doing a Dragon Blade, let's say they come in from behind, it's like, oh, Genji's behind us, so everyone just turns around and looks away. When Genji's engaged using Dragon Blade in the air, they jump up into the air, and then it's just like, oh. Well, there's nothing distracting your eyes up there. It's just like a green line in the sky, and you just go, oh, there he is. I don't rate it. I do not rate it. I've used dash without Anna to get clear line of sight with supports. A, you should know that the, you should probably know where the supports are before drawing your blade. And B, if you can't reach the supports, like, let's talk about triangles. Let's talk about simple trigonometry, okay? If I have a line of distance x, it goes along the floor, and a line of distance x, and it goes at a 45-degree angle, in terms of distance relative to the ground, which one goes further? It's the line flush with the ground. This does not take you further. So it's like if you're struggling to get into the back line, dashing upwards is not the way. And if you say like, oh well, it's to avoid like roadhogs and stuff, it's like no, it's easier for the roadhog to hook you out the sky than it is for him to. If you dash through him, it's a pain in the ass, and you shouldn't be dashing through him regardless. You should be setting up before then. But yeah, it's one of those things that people think, like, it looks really cool. It looks really cool, and you think really cool. But yeah. It's just, Burn and Spitfire was an ice cream flavor. How Korean would it be? Kimchi. You think NYXL will become very dominant after the 8th flower? It's going to be interesting to see. Like, in theory, yes, they will have one of the scariest DPS rosters. The questions I have about NYXL is like, how well does Pine play with the others? Like, how well does Pine communicate? We talked about this last night, where it's like Pine feels like he's wheeled out onto the stage during, or like he's like been summoned by a genie's lamp, and it's like, oh yes, you can have the best player in the league, NYXL, but you can only use him for what? You can only use him on one map type. Ha 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 ha. So enjoy your free 1-round win. It's like Pine is a weird one. Are these Fenner's emotes that he drew himself? They're glorious. Those are beautiful. There we go, just a bit Gonzalez. I got it right. When I Dragon Blade, I can usually do 6-7 slashes per ult, but when Red Genji ults, I see the kill cam is usually doing many more. What is the secret? Probably what isn't actually doing that many more. I think there is a limit on 7. I don't know if the wall climb cancel is even still in. Like, this is really very, very niche, but there is a thing with Genji where if you slash wall climb and then you can slash again pretty much instantaneously. I don't know if they took that out or not. I could not tell you. When I play Soldier 76, a lot of times less backbones, more making fire miserable. Is that wrong? Nope, that's fine. You're doing a job. Take that one quickly. Give me credit for what? That you are a decent player and you know more than the basics. Like, I'm not going to tell you, make sure that they are under 50 hit points. You know that they should be under 50 hit points. It was actually a question because the glasses was headset is so uncomfortable. Yeah. It's not the most... You get used to it though. Like, I can't... If I take off my glasses, I can barely read chat. How's the sound quality? It is slightly muffled. It's not perfect. Like, I can barely read chat. Also, you guys will probably get to see how blue underneath my eyes are, which is usually sort of deflected by my glasses somewhat. At the moment, what is a good hero to master from each category? Soldier or Tracer on DPS? Right now, Moira on support. Moira or Zen. Probably Zen, actually, I'd say more than anything on support. And for tanks, D.Va or Roadhog. Orisa might drop out of meta with the Mercy changes. We'll see. Winston probably is still okay as well. Any tips on how to improve with each hero? Play them a lot is the simplest one. Like, improving, like, that's a very, very big question. And so I'll just give you general advice, which is the more you play, the better you will get, in theory. It doesn't always happen. Watch, if you're interested in improving in a specific hero, find a player that you like and you like their playstyle and try and watch them stream, and try and watch them develop. How highly do you rate McCree? I think McCree is going to be big in the next patch. I think burst damage is going to be a big thing next patch because if Mercy drops out into the dumpster, the healers that remain are not, like, Mercy's healing is quite high. If Mercy drops away and you're relying on the other healers, the actual healing outputs are a little bit lower, or a little bit more bursty. So you have like stuff like Amp It Up, you have stuff like Healing Orbs that you're going to be relying on more. Which is more of a bursty heal. And so burst damage is going to be more important because once those bursty heals are gone, you will just be able to blow people up. And so McCree will be very, very powerful. McCree still is very powerful. Also slash cancel dash. Yeah, so dash, yeah, this is, I think, slightly standard Genji stuff, but it is worth pointing out, which is that dash will cancel most of your animations. I think the only one that dash can't cancel, I think, is the sheathing animation. I think sheathing cancels everything, and so yeah. Yeah, that'll do it for now. Otherwise, thank you for watching to the end. That was a lot of questions, but it was a relatively quick video. So if you do want to get your footage reviewed, send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. If you ever wonder, I have this footage, should I send it in? Just send it in. Include in the title the hero name, the rank, and if you're a Twitch sub or not. Twitch subs have a slightly higher chance. I believe today's wasn't a Twitch sub, but yeah, it just depends on what I have available. And yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching to the end. And yeah, that about wraps it up. So I am going to play some Overwatch now, which should be nice. I'll see you guys in a couple of seconds. Otherwise, yeah, thank you for watching to the end, YouTube. Otherwise, come by and check us out live as well, YouTube, if you're not already. Friday and Saturdays at 10 o'clock. And also we do, well, 10 o'clock British time, and we do Probing the Many as well, where we look at some VODs. I might look at Fuel versus Valiant, not Fuel versus Valiant, Soul versus Valiant. No, NYXL versus Valiant. Terrible with team names. Yeah, NYXL versus Valiant, because that was a really good game. It was a 4-0, but it was a lot closer than a 4-0. It was really close. Stream over already? No, stop it. Stop it. Don't joke. Because we're going to try playing a bit of Overwatch. So yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Otherwise, thank you for watching to the end. Bye, YouTube. They're gone. I think they're gone. They're probably not gone. Right.